is a nice refreshment for a first start. So, like you said, my name's Luis. I was campaign manager for Adrian and Marianne Guido, and for a school board race. I'm also a third year at UCI. I'll be graduating this year, so I'm not much older than any of you. And I love politics. And today, speaking about the living wage, I think we can nail it down to basically three subjects, which is opportunity, action, and vision. And as young people, one of our goals is to get involved, right? We want to get a good resume, we want to get good experience for jobs, grad school, et cetera, et cetera. And sometimes we don't know where to start, and that's where really the opportunity comes in. It's getting involved at the local level. Because at the local level is where you get access to candidates. It's where you get access to the nuts and bolts of operation. Most people want to get involved at the national level, whether it's Hillary, Bernie, et cetera, which are all great and noble causes, don't get me wrong. But when you get to these campaigns, you're kind of at the lower rung of the ladder. You don't get access to the candidates. You don't get access to what it really means running a campaign, and you don't get a lot of access to the things that will really further your career as a political operative or a political yourself, or just somebody who's interested in the subject. And so things like the UCI Dem Club, Orange County Young Democrats, which I recommend you all become a member of, are ways to get involved because that's how you network with people. That's where you meet people, you meet candidates who are running for office, whether it's city council, school board, state senate, state assembly. And when you meet these people, you get to know them almost on a one-on-one basis because they're not these big guys, right? They're not these senators or governors. So you actually learn a lot from them, and that's how I got started. I went to an OCYD meeting, and Jesse's one of the board members of OCYD sitting in the back. And I went to an OCYD meeting, I met Joel, who I ended up later being a co-campaign manager for a school board race here in Irvine, and later for the city council race. And the funny part is, it's really only about going to a meeting. I went to one meeting where I met one person, and by chance I got to be this. And I show up that first day, I'm a volunteer for the first day, the guy likes me, he hires me. At this point, I have no experience running a campaign, so I get hired on day one to run a campaign, and I have never run a campaign in my life before, so it was kind of a learning experience. It's pretty fun. And that's how you get involved. It's the opportunity aspect of it. Whether it's internships, but I would recommend internships at the local level. It's because at the local level is where you get those recommendation letters. As you get to network, and those people will get you jobs, will meet you, especially if you win. Everybody loves a winning campaign. And that kind of segues into what we're doing here in Irvine, which is action. Because on June 9th, the City Council in Irvine cut the living wage for city contractors from $10.82 to $9 an hour. Now, our living wage in Irvine was established in the year 2007, and it had been successful and operational for 7 years. And what made this living wage so special is that Irvine is the only city in Orange County with a wage above the minimum wage. So no other city in the county actually has a living wage or a living wage initiative. And because in Orange County we outsource our city jobs, this means that private companies do things like landscaping, janitorial, et cetera, some of these important city services. And so we established a living wage. And this living wage paid $10.82 an hour with healthcare benefits. That means if you didn't have healthcare benefits, that actually went up to $13 an hour. So you're talking about this all the way back in 2007, when the minimum wage of the state was $7.25, we're paying people $10.82 and $13, and so forth and so forth. And the way this worked is it affected about just north of 500 employees in the city. But what made our living wage even more special was that it said any company that did business with the city of Irvine would actually have to pay its employees the same wage throughout the county. So that means if you had 100 employees and 50 of them worked in Irvine, you'd have to pay all your employees across Orange County the same wage. You're talking about uplifting hundreds and hundreds of families that either work with the city or are indirectly affected, and you're uplifting them from poverty from just minimum wage jobs. And on June 9th, the City Council, on a 4-to-1 vote, all Republicans for cutting the wage and one Democrat against, voted to cut this wage. And this resulted in a $4,160 cut in paychecks to these workers. And one of the things that I remember more vividly was an SEIU worker, right? Her name escapes me. She didn't speak Spanish. She came down, she gave a testimony. She said she was a single mom, working 2 jobs, putting 2 kids to college, and the only reason she was able to afford to put these kids to college is because she had a janitorial contract with the city of Irvine. And that provided health insurance for her and her family, which once we got rid of this living wage, she would be subject to getting terminated and getting rid of those contracts and getting rid of those benefits. So you're looking at a working class family, working class parents, immigrants, as many of you, your parents are immigrants or first generation, right? And she's doing everything she can to put her kids through school. And everything she can, she's breaking her back day in and day out to provide those benefits for her kids. And now she faces a city council who says, well, screw that because it's not important. Because in their viewpoint, these aren't people who are affected by this. They're just numbers, right? They're just $100,000, 50 people, 100 people, but they're not actually tangible human beings who live and breathe and need decent wages. And so then a couple of us got together, along with members of the religious community, civic leaders, and just good old-fashioned citizens, and we decided to launch a living wage initiative. Now, this living wage initiative, what we did was we took the former city ordinance, we put it down, we tinkered with it, I actually have it right here, tinkered it, and basically we're putting it on the ballot for the November 2016 election. We need 10,445 valid signatures from Irvine voters to qualify this on the ballot. Once we get those signatures, people will get a chance to vote on it, whether they want to reinstate it or not. Now, the overwhelming response we're getting from people is ecstatic yes. In 3 weeks of doing this effort, we have just over 1,500 signatures. 60% of our volunteers is actually a statistic I'm pretty proud of. 60% of our volunteers are actually first-time volunteers. That means that 60% of the people who are helping out in this initiative have never ever helped in a political campaign in the city of Irvine, or have actually been active in any campaign at all. Because the issue of economic justice and economic inequality and the living wage cuts across party lines. Because people know deep in their bones that there's something wrong when the top 1% of wage earners had 95% of the wealth created since the recession, where even though American workers have doubled their productivity in the last 30 years, their wages are no better off than they were in 1980. People sense that there's something fundamentally wrong. And living wages are an effort, a way to tackle this issue, which is why it's the action plan. Because if you notice, municipalities, whether it's San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle, et cetera, are pushing the ball forward and raising wages for their employees. And even a state like Arkansas. Arkansas is probably the rubiest red state you can think of. Mitt Romney carried that state by 17 points. In 2014, they put a living wage initiative on their ballot, and it passed with 67% of the vote. So you're seeing that this is an issue that cuts across party lines. It's not just Democrats or liberals, but it's really an issue that applies to both conservatives, liberals, Democrats, moderates, whatever your party affiliation is. Economic inequality is something we can all be a part of. And as part of that action plan, we're looking for people to become volunteers and interns for our organization. So if you yourself or know anybody who's good at designing websites, who's good at social media, who's good at just regular old media, who wants to collect signatures, who wants to become interns for our organization, please feel free to talk to me after this meeting is over, because we're looking for young people, especially young dynamic people who are committed to this. Because this is really our segue into our city council elections next year. So this is really the first salvo in that opening battle. And if you guys is something you guys are interested in, please come and join our effort. We'll make sure you guys will learn the ins and outs of managing campaigns, the ins and outs of doing what you need to do to run a grassroots organizations, and you will get valuable experience, and if you guys need any letters of recommendation, we'll be more than happy to provide them as well. And this kind of segues to our third point, which was, it's really about vision. A living wage, especially in the city of Irvine, it's about vision. It's about the type of city and the type of state you want to have. Do you want to have a state where workers are respected, where people have affordable health care, where environmental protection is a staple of our future, where a living wage is not some abstract idea but a reality? Or do you want to have a future where employers pay whatever they want to pay to their employees, regulation favors the wealthy, the system is stacked in favor of those who have money and influence, and health insurance is something that's only available for those who can afford it, but not those who need it? And therefore, this is the vision we're offering. The vision we're offering is a simple vision. It says, if you believe that people deserve a decent living wage, if you believe that we need to help those at the lowest rung of the economic ladder who have no voice to speak for themselves, and if you believe that this is a matter of fair justice, a matter that says that in a society as powerful and as rich as ours, nobody should stay below the poverty line, And nobody should have to struggle or even think about where their next meal is coming from. If you believe in all those things, come and join our effort. Because we're moving this issue forward. As the first city in Orange County to have this living wage, we can be a beacon, almost. We can be the we can be the leaders in providing a living wage for other cities, and even countywide. Now there's living wage movements in Anaheim, in Santa Ana, and if we can succeed here, we can do it there. And we can do it in Anaheim, and we can do it in Santa Ana, we can do it in all these other cities, and soon enough, we'll not only be with the state, but we can be forward. We can be above the state in MO. And that's what it is, it's vision. It's the type of vision we're offering. We're offering a positive vision, we're offering a vision of equality, we're offering a vision of action, and we're offering a vision where those at the lowest levels will be uplifted because, rising tides lifts all boats. So if this is something you guys are interested in, please let us know. Please come to me after the meeting, and together, as a community, not only as UCI and Irvine, but as a greater Orange County community, we can build a brighter and better future. Thank you. So if there's any questions, I'll take some questions.